During the trip, Xavier and I were giving each other the silent treatment. When the train arrived at the station, he got off without waiting for me. The conductor woke me up, and it turned out I had missed my stop. I wasn't as upset as I thought I'd be. I calmly bought another ticket. It seems goodbyes are always silent. You didn't get off? No, I fell asleep, he replied with a string of ellipses. Then he sent a location, a hotel address. I'll wait for you. Can you be here by 9? I glanced at the time, it was 2 hours before 9. Getting off at the next station and heading back should be enough time. Large wheat fields flashed past the window, stirring up waves of gold in the morning light. I rarely felt this attached to such beautiful scenery. Don't wait. Let's break up, I replied. The ellipsis indicating he was typing appeared and disappeared. Finally, he sent, whatever. No arguments, very calmly. Our 6-year relationship was over. The woman sitting next to me noticed my pale face and poured me a glass of warm water. Young lady, fighting with your boyfriend? I took the water, shaking my head with a smile. I'd known Xavier since I was 17, and I'd never seen him raise his voice at anyone. The first time I saw him was at the New Year's Eve party in my junior year of high school. The male host who was supposed to be my partner bailed on me because his girlfriend was jealous. Xavier was pushed in to save the day. His black, choppy hair just past his eyebrows, his nose narrow and straight, with a slightly upturned tip above his pale pink lips, he looked like he'd walked out of a manga. Maybe it was the heightened atmosphere, but all I remember is my heart racing. I started deliberately getting close to him. Wherever he was, I made sure I was there too. Before early morning classes, I'd rush, toast in my mouth, to stuff hot muffins and milk under his desk, then make it back to class just in time. During his sports games, I'd shoot through the crowd like an arrow, the first one to stand in front of him with a bottle of water I'd been keeping warm in my jacket. His aloof eyes would crinkle with a hint of amusement. How come you're always around? I tilted my head back, not hiding my feelings. I like you. You better play along. He chuckled softly, took my water, tilted his head back and drank, the spilled water sliding down his jaw to his Adam's apple. I don't like you. You better play along. I bet your patience will only last a month. I stared at his damp, pink lips and vowed to myself, I will kiss those soft, luscious lips. I narrowed my eyes, smiling confidently, we'll see. You're going to lose. Friends told me not to waste my time. Xavier was a golden boy, too proud, with a heart harder than ancient ice. But ever since I was little, once I decided to do something, nothing could stop me. Back then, I naively thought I'd be the exception, the one who could make him lose control. So many people pursued Xavier, but I was the only one who persevered. I focused on both chasing him and studying, and managed to get into the same university he attended. At the freshman orientation, I swapped my black-rimmed glasses for contacts, put on the most popular makeup of the time, and stopped him in the campus avenue wearing a daffodil yellow sundress. He, who never gave anyone the time of day, was slightly taken aback, his tone almost flirtatious. TSK, you really are stubbornly persistent. Not long after that day, he agreed to be with me. His straightforwardness made it feel almost unreal for a moment. Later, I waited for him after class to go out to eat, and I understood the reason. His friend asked him, "Didn't you say you didn't like ginger?" He lowered his eyes, swiping on his phone, replying to my message, "Girlfriend, I'm sorry to keep you waiting, let's go eat your favorite Japanese cuisine later." When he looked up again, there was an irrepressible smile in his eyes, and he said, "See, can't I be with someone I don't like?" In Xavier's eyes, I just happened to be on the path he'd already planned out. So he gave me a ride. Nothing to do with love. In fact, after we got together, he was a great boyfriend. He'd prepare surprises for anniversaries, and even in the busiest of times, he'd set aside an afternoon to make matching mugs by hand. I remember one time especially. I was busy revising a paper and forgot about him on the side of the road for 3 hours. When I arrived with a look of apology, he smiled and gently ruffled my hair, saying it was okay. To show my remorse, I treated him to a fancy dinner. He didn't say yes or no, but then secretly paid the bill in advance. Ever since I overheard his conversation with his friend, I'd been uneasy, and our relationship only went as far as kissing and hugging. Because this precarious relationship was like a ticking time bomb, waiting for the right moment to be triggered. Maybe it was the charming evening, the perfect atmosphere. Or maybe it was nearing graduation, with pressure piling up like mountains. Tipsy, I pounced on him. Disorganized kisses, from the tip of his nose to his Adam's apple. He arched his back, steadying my waist. His handsome brows were slightly furrowed, suppressing his emotions, his voice hoarse. Ginger, do you know what you're doing? Under the warm yellow light, I propped myself up against his solid chest. My fingertips drew circles on his taut skin, taunting. Xavier, are you fake? A fake person. He scoffed in amusement, his lean waist flexing slightly. He effortlessly shifted me into a suggestive position. His slightly calloused hands gently stroked the back of my neck, pain mixed with pleasure. Am I still fake now? He gently kissed away the tears on my face, his laughter seductive. I was so flustered by his question that I pulled away as if burned, sobbing softly. After graduation, Xavier followed his professor to a lab in City A. He asked me if we should go our SEPA rate ways or if I wanted to go with him. His expression was indifferent, as if making a very ordinary decision. I chose the latter, and we settled down in City A. He took me home to meet his parents and discuss our engagement. On our 5th anniversary, he brought home a heterochromatic tabby kitten, asking me to name it. Marshmallow, how's that? I excitedly took the cat, holding it in my arms. Xavier didn't look at me, teasing the cat with his fingers, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Your mom's such a foodie, even her names revolve around food. Marshmallow has to keep mommy company for daddy, make her happy and not sad, or daddy will take away your fish treats. I was amused by him. Xavier, are you even human? Threatening a kitten. Hearing this, Xavier's eyes darkened. I'm occasionally not human, but an animal. After speaking, he bent down and picked me and the cat up, heading towards the bedroom. I coaxed him, I don't have any energy, let's eat first. When have you ever exerted any effort? It's always me. His face didn't turn red, and he spoke frankly. I was so angry that I hit him, and he covered his chest, pretending to be hurt, shouting that I had to be responsible for him for the rest of his life. At that time, I sincerely looked forward to our future. Those overlooked details could also be glossed over. But later, Marshmallow died. It wasn't even 2 years old when it died. At that moment, something seemed to shatter. I came back from a business trip. Marshmallow didn't rush over to rub against my legs and act cute as usual. When I went to hug it, it screamed and scratched me before running away. Xavier nervously checked my wound, wanting to take me to the hospital for a shot. He comforted me, saying that maybe Marshmallow was unfamiliar with me because I'd been away on a business trip for too long. Something was wrong. This wasn't right. Marshmallow had always been gentle and timid, let alone hurting someone. I grabbed Marshmallow's front right paw. There was no scar there. This cat, which looked exactly like Marshmallow, wasn't Marshmallow. Xavier's expression changed slightly, and he asked with a smile if I was mistaken. He didn't know that Marshmallow was injured because of me. It started when I took Marshmallow for a walk downstairs, and a dog pounced on me, tearing at my clothes. Marshmallow arched its back and rushed forward. Marshmallow blinded the dog, but it was also seriously injured, its entire front paw almost severed, with only a blurry connection of skin and flesh remaining. As a result, even after it healed, the scar was still shocking to see if you looked closely. At that time, Xavier had taken on a new project, spending almost every month working overtime in the lab. He only came home occasionally, and it was always in a hurry. He didn't notice these details, and I didn't tell him. Under my questioning, Xavier finally told the truth. He was unable to split himself, so he simply took Marshmallow to the lab to eat and live with him. And the new female student didn't know, treating Marshmallow as an animal for experimentation. He tried his best to defend the female student, saying it was just an unintentional accident. The person in front of me, who called himself Marshmallow's father, I couldn't see any sadness in his eyes. He had clearly also prepared new toys for that chubby little guy. But why? Our marshmallow died. But I was the only one who was sad. Xavier and I had a big fight. Or rather, I was the only one who fought with him. Compared to his calmness, I was like a crazy person on the verge of collapse. He held me tightly, trying to calm me down. It's just a cat, honey. If you don't like this one, I'll take you to pick out another one. In Xavier's eyes, a cat's value was providing companionship. Replacing it was the same. He didn't understand why I was so sad. But, Xavier, it's not the same. How could it be the same? Like Xavier's wife. It couldn't be anyone be. Ginger. Xavier said I was playing with words and being too emotional, telling me not to think too much. He said we would be fine. But I knew we couldn't go back. The dream I had woven for myself was over, and it told me with bloody reality. The memories I deliberately created weren't exclusive and could be replaced. The years I worked hard to follow him were a joke. His wife could be Ginger, or it could be anyone. Just like Marshmallow, any cat could be Marshmallow. No matter who was in the position of wife, he did a great job. He was just good to his wife, not good to Ginger. The saddest thing was that I knew clearly. He didn't like me that much, but I couldn't stop liking him. In this relationship, he was at ease because he still had a way out. But all of this was because I was attracted to his looks and approached him like a moth to a flame. I didn't even have the right to feel wronged. I didn't want to see Xavier, and work was a great excuse. Working overtime until late at night, I thought of Marshmallow again. It would tilt its head and sit at the entrance, perking up its ears to listen for movement outside the door. It was waiting for me to come home, and then it would jump into my arms and act cute. I took out the new toy, and its beautiful heterochromatic eyes would light up, meowing in a high-pitched voice, wanting me to play with it. The new toy was bought, but it would never receive it again. In the 3rd month of my one-sided silent treatment with Xavier, he suggested a trip to break the ice. Because of his work, he needed to be on call at any time. So after starting work, our trips were all around City A. This time, he took a long vacation to City C, which I'd been longing to visit, 1,000 miles away from City A. It was peak tourist season, and it was a spontaneous decision, so plane tickets had long been sold out. He asked someone to find 2 seats separated by 2 carriages. After arriving in City C, the train only stopped for a few minutes. Xavier got off. And I missed my stop. I had a fever. After getting off the train, I took a taxi to a nearby hospital. Overwork had caused my immunity to drop. While getting in for drip, I ran into Xavier's colleague. To be precise, it was the new student Lucy that Xavier had mentioned. As for how she recognized me, she explained that she had seen my photo in Xavier's wallet. Lucy pursed her lips, lowered her eyes, and sincerely apologized to me. I thought Marshmallow was an animal for experimentation. When I found out the truth, I wanted to stop the experiment, but that set of data was really perfect. Senior Xavier could only reluctantly give it up, making a mistake in continuing for 3 periods of follow-up experiments to get the most accurate data. Senior Xavier was even rated excellent because of this, so it can be considered a gain and a loss. I widened my eyes in disbelief. What did you say? Lucy blinked innocently and repeated excitedly, Senior Xavier was rated excellent and is expected to be promoted this year. Remember to say nice things about me in front of Senior Xavier, sister-in-law. I'll follow him in the future. I laughed. So he used Marshmallow to exchange for his future. The world spun, and I passed out. I had a dream. Marshmallow was convulsing, with white foam flowing from its mouth. At the moment before its death, it was still waiting for its dad to realize it had been switched. And Xavier was lovingly calling another cat Marshmallow. Standing next to him was a girl named Wife who looked somewhat similar to me. I woke up in shock, finding Xavier sitting by the bed, staring at me nervously. You're awake. How do you feel? Is anything uncomfortable? I coldly interrupted him. Why didn't you stop the experiment? As soon as I said that, Xavier's hand, which was testing the temperature of my forehead, stopped in midair. He didn't answer me but turned around to rummage through a meal box. You've been unconscious for 3 days. Yes, you must be hungry. This is your favorite century egg congee. I even asked the boss to add shrimp to replenish nutrition. The doctor didn't say when you'd wake up, so I reheated it every 3 hours. He twisted open the lid, tasted a mouthful, and handed it to me. The temperature is just right now. I forcefully pushed his hand away, and the meal box fell heavily to the ground, a mess. The collision of metal and marble made a harsh and irritating sound. Xavier took a deep breath, lowering his eyes to look directly at me. After receiving the call, I rushed over as fast as I could. For 3 days, I've been watching over you, afraid that you'd get hurt. So, Ginger, the first thing you do when you wake up is to ask me about that damn animal? Resentment and anger alternated on his exceptionally handsome face. I raised my head to meet his gaze, mocking, Xavier, so you can get angry too. He tugged at the corners of his mouth, his expression stern. Regarding Marshmallow, I don't think my decision was wrong. Its sacrifice was meaningful. Why are you dwelling on it? His unrepentant appearance stimulated my nerves, and I retorted, Xavier, you're just a selfish and hypocritical person. Yes, I'm a villain, and you, Ginger, are the kindest person in the world. But you were the one who shamelessly pursued me, sticking to me like a piece of gum that couldn't be removed. He pinched my chin, sneering coldly, what? Now that you've seen my true colors, you regret it and want to break up. Coming and going as you please, is that it? Do you think I'll cry and beg you to stay? Let me tell you, don't even think about it, absolutely impossible. There are so many girls around me who are more outstanding and prettier than you. And you, Ginger, are nothing. A chill ran through my heart, feeling unworthy for my former self. Those beautiful memories that I had deliberately created were worthless to him. My sincerity was wasted, nothing more. Hurt to the extreme, I calmed down instead, saying calmly, leave, let's not meet again. Xavier was stunned, his eyes deep, the corners of his mouth curling into a self-deprecating smile. He grabbed his hair irritably, his tone heavy, you started it, you're responsible. You explained the engagement cancellation to both families. I nodded, and he left, moving slowly. In the past, as long as he left with a slight frown, I would run after him, hugging him from behind and acting cute. But those intimate gestures were worthless in his eyes, cheap and ridiculous. The doorknob finally turned, and I called out to him. Humph. A very soft sneer. In the silent space, it amplified endlessly in my ears. Xavier raised his chin slightly, turning back, as if to say he expected it. The one who likes century egg congee is you. I paused, continuing calmly, I'm allergic to shrimp. Hearing this, Xavier's expression was wonderful, from astonishment to panic, to forced calmness. His fleeing figure was very embarrassed. Regarding the cancellation of the engagement, my reason was studying abroad. A very weak reason, but Xavier's parents didn't have any objections. But before leaving, Mrs. Xavier pulled me aside. Ginger, I apologize to you for that brat. I was a little surprised, and Mrs. Xavier handed me a bag. I know what kind of person my son is, he's had a lot of bad habits since he was a child. You're the only one who's been able to put up with him all these years. If it were me, I would have slapped him long ago. I support you going abroad for further study. If possible, come visit Uncle Xavier and me often. No matter what happens between you and Xavier, I've always treated you like a daughter. Let's go. I'm in a hurry. Xavier stood in the distance with his hands in his pockets, looking impatient. After getting into the car, Xavier started the car with a cold face. If it weren't for my mom, I wouldn't have sent you off at all. I ignored him, opening the bag. Inside were the red envelope and jewelry that they had given me over the years, which I had returned. Altogether worth over 100,000. Take these back, I said. Xavier gripped the steering wheel, glanced at it, and said coldly, I don't want anything you've touched, it's bad luck. Xavier had a beautiful face but was very cunning. When he was happy, he was harmless, even humorous. But if you made him unhappy, the unintentional passive-aggressive remarks could make your bones ache with bitterness. Suddenly, I remembered once when I was waiting for him to get the car from the garage and ran into a male classmate from the past, so we chatted for a few words. On the way, Xavier kept a straight face and didn't say a word. I asked him cautiously, "What's wrong? Do you fall in love with everyone you see?" He said the most hurtful words with a blank expression, word by word, "Ginger, your love is pretty cheap." At that time, I swallowed the bitterness in my heart, rationalizing his behavior. He was just jealous. We loved each other very much. But how could love feel wronged? Hiding alone in a corner to lick wounds, self-healing? I looked at the man next to me, the memories of the past surging in my heart, and blurted out, "Everything you're wearing, from head to toe, wasn't bought by me? Even your lucky red underwear for your zodiac year, I bought it for you. Why don't you think that's bad luck?" Xavier was so choked up that his face turned green. I continued to increase the firepower, venting the grievances of these years. "I even slept with you, so why don't you go die?" "You." Xavier gritted his teeth in anger. "Ginger, I advise you to be smart. You're in my car right now." "What? Are you going to throw me on the side of the road?" I sat up straight and looked at him, shouting, "Stop the car." Xavier darkened his face, stopped talking, and slammed on the gas pedal. With a sudden sense of pushback, I subconsciously grabbed Xavier's arm, then let go. Xavier glanced at me and then looked away. When we arrived downstairs at my apartment complex, I was thrown out of the car with the bag. As soon as I stood firmly, Xavier's car had already driven away. If there were no accidents, this would be our last meeting. Not a decent one. I couldn't describe the feeling in my heart. The world was big, but it only took a little fate for two people to meet. When fate ends, we'll never see each other again. At the dinner table, my mom started her lecture mode. "It's not a matter of principle, I really don't know what you're doing." I didn't refute. My behavior seemed willful and pretentious to her. But I knew my own feelings, and I didn't want to live this life of compromising for the sake of peace. The marshmallow incident was the trigger. In this relationship, I was so intoxicated that I lost myself. And the result was not satisfactory. I couldn't accept it. A piece of meat that would rot and stink at any time. Before the incident happened, it should have been cut off. "Okay, it's not easy for our daughter to come back for a meal," my dad replied. "What's so good about it? Isn't this just being taken advantage of for a few years?" I paused. "Mom, what are you saying?" My mom got angry and threw her chopsticks. "Isn't that right? Back then, you didn't want anything for the sake of a man, not only changing your college entrance exam application but also going to City A, which is so far away from home, your dad, and I finally accepted Xavier, who doesn't smoke or drink and is just a little career-minded, a reliable person to entrust for life. Now you're unhappy because of this little thing? Don't kill yourself." The closest people know best where to poke the sore spots. We broke up unhappily. Both of my parents were teachers, a very traditional family. From what color clothes to where to study, and where to work and settle down in the future. Including the man I would entrust for life, preferably related to education. A life that had already been arranged. What they thought was right, I had to do the opposite. I wanted to prove that my choices were also right. There was more to life than the path they had arranged. I worked hard for my choices. In fact, those choices all received positive feedback. I was proud and complacent, thinking that relationships were the same. Relying on a burst of courage to pursue love. Regarding Xavier, I lost. And I admitted it. Tears streamed down my cheeks, a chill entering my heart, but I smiled. I'm still very young. Everything can start over. The error tolerance rate of life is higher than imagined. My life shouldn't be given up for a wrong choice. A piece of meat that would rot and stink at any time. Before the incident happened, it should have been cut off. In the middle of the night, I knocked on my mom's door. I knew she wasn't asleep either. Parents love their children and plan far ahead for them. They have walked the path, and they have succeeded. So they pave a path, hoping that I can take fewer detours, that's all. She was sitting at the head of the bed with her reading glasses on, sewing old-fashioned cross-stitch. This was an activity she did to relieve insomnia. The warm-colored lamp, the light flickering, time leaving a few strands of white hair at her temples. She glanced at me, didn't say anything, and continued with the embroidery in her hands. I walked over, hugged her from behind, my forehead lightly touching her shoulder. I called her in a clingy voice, "Mom." She ignored me. I continued, "Mom, don't call me Mom, I'm old, I can't control you." My mom still didn't give me a look. But I want to see the world, and I want to see the world with Mom and Dad. Maybe my tone was too sentimental, and my mom was slightly moved. What's so good about it? Your dad and I are almost halfway in the grave. Thinking that you can live well with Xavier, your dad and I can be considered to have completed our life's mission. I retorted, who stipulate Ed this damn mission. Mom, life is long, so long that life is only left with the trivialities of eating and sleeping. But life is also short, coming to the human world for a short trip and then leaving. We walk around the world and enjoy life, isn't that good? My mom adjusted her reading glasses. Where did you learn these fallacies, one after another? I continued to rub against my mom, acting spoiled, following her words. It's hereditary. Who told me that my mom is a respected language teacher? My mom smiled, the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes deepened. She cried as she smiled. What will you do alone after your dad and I are gone? I held back my tears and continued to build her up mentally. I'm grown up and can support myself. You can't even guarantee that you'll be nice to me, let alone others. I still remember when I was a child, I went swimming in the wild pond, and you chased me with a rattan stick and whipped my butt. You were so ruthless. My mom put down the cross-stitch and hugged me back, seeming to accept the fact that I had broken up with Xavier. She sighed softly, forget it, as long as you're safe and healthy. My dad was woken up and saw the scene, his eyes were happy. You two were busy arguing at night and didn't eat much. You must be hungry, I'll go make some noodles for you to eat. My mom wiped away her tears and stopped my dad, put in 2 fried eggs. In the small room, all 3 of us laughed. The next day, my mom woke me up from my sleep with a whole stack of photos. Your aunt introduced you to many high-quality single men, pick one. I curled my lips. Well, a night's work was wasted. The following days were unusually busy but fulfilling. Besides going to the agency to study, I also had to take time to handle various procedures and visas. From time to time, I also had to deal with the blind dates arranged by my mom. My mom's idea, just make a friend, you can never have too many friends. I reluctantly went to the appointment. Throughout the meal, the man was gentle and courteous, acting very different from the oily, dead men. But I had just ended a 6-year relationship, and at least for now, I didn't want to take on the next one. So I tactfully rejected the blind date's suggestion to continue meeting. Speaking of Xavier, it seemed like I hadn't thought of him in a long time. It turned out that forgetting someone wasn't as difficult as I had imagined. However, I didn't mean to remember, but someone was determined to break in. Xavier and Lucy suddenly appeared within my sight. From my direction, the 2 of them were very close, and Xavier was saying something to her with his head lowered. His eyebrows were lowered, the corners of his mouth raised, and he was very gentle. As if sensing something, Xavier looked in my direction. I lowered my head, averting my gaze. I hoped he wouldn't notice me. After a moment, I looked up to see them already seated. Xavier was facing away from me, chatting and laughing with Lucy. Go our separate ways, or come with me to City A. Xavier's words echoed in my mind, fitting the scene perfectly. In the same restaurant, just a few feet apart, separated by the din. This going our separate ways seemed to have taken concrete form. My blind date noticed my absent-mindedness and cut the dinner short. Outside the restaurant, I waited for my ride. Suddenly, the headlights of a nearby car flashed on, and I raised my hand to shield my eyes from the blinding white light. Squinting, I made out Xavier in the driver's seat. He, who never smoked, now had a half-finished cigarette between his fingers, his gaze heavy. After a silent stare down, he spoke first. Is that guy your new fling? None of your business. Xavier remained non-committal, flicked the ash, and then asked, Did you report me? I was slightly taken aback. As if confirming his suspicion, Xavier chuckled softly and nodded. Reporting me for using stray cats for experiments on a large-scale W. Aunt work. You'd have better luck reporting me for chasing after women, that's more about personal conduct. But even that won't hold water, because Ginger, you're the only one I've ever been with. Seeing my silence, he chuckled a few times. I'm with Lucy now, she's great. Not like you, so dramatic and high maintenance. I echoed with a smile, well, congratulations. His eyes were dark as he looked at me, as if trying to find something on my face. I had anticipated that my report about stray animals being used for large-scale experiments would only result in social outcry at most. I consulted with professionals, it wouldn't go beyond public discussion. But the impact of public opinion shouldn't be underestimated. Even if it was just internal condemnation of Xavier for letting personal matters affect his work, he should be punished for Marshmallow's death. So, I submitted a report to his lab superiors. What goes around comes around, it's just a matter of time. Hearing this, Xavier blew out a smoke ring, laughing even more wildly. Ginger, are you naive or just plain stupid? Evil gets its comeuppance is just something useless people use for solace. Just then, lightning flashed across the sky, threatening rain. I quickly took a few steps away from Xavier, afraid of getting caught in the crossfire. I even kindly reminded him, it's going to storm, you should go. Xavier ignored me, got out of the car, and walked towards me, talking to himself. I always heard you rave about how good this place was, so I wanted to try it. It's pretty spicy, I choked a few times, but it's manageable. Xavier, a southerner who couldn't handle any spice, would get stomachaches that kept him up all night if he ate spicy food. After all these years with him, I, who loved spicy food, had gotten used to eating bland dishes. So, hearing him say manageable surprised me. I suppose that's thanks to his new girlfriend, Lucy. Seeing that I still wasn't responding, he opened the passage. Our door, let me give you a ride. No need, I've already called a car. Can't we even be friends anymore? Under his expectant gaze, I nodded deeply. Xavier leaned back, a self-deprecating smile on his lips. I still can't believe that a cat is the reason we're like this now. The first time you gave me the cold shoulder, the first time you ignored me, the first time we argued. In your heart, am I less important than a cat? And it was even a cat I gave you. I really brought this on myself. I paused, a nameless sadness welling up inside me. Xavier, not arguing is the scariest thing. We are all human, with emotions, joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. But I didn't dare express my dissatisfaction to him, much less get angry at him. Because I knew he would be the first to let go. Even when our love was at its most passionate, he could still calmly ask me whether we should go our separate ways or whether I wanted to go to City A with him. He never included me in his future plans. This relationship depended on me holding on tight. Once I let go, there would be no future for us. You knew that finding a similar cat to replace Marshmallow would make me sad. But you still chose work and sacrificed Marshmallow. You were also sure that I wouldn't make a fuss because you knew I loved you the most. My feelings, my choices, my thoughts were all insignificant. Xavier, when I realized that. It wasn't that I didn't love you anymore, it was that I chose to love myself. I didn't. Xavier stepped forward and grabbed my wrist, as if wanting to explain something, but in the end, he was left with only silence. My ride arrived, and I gestured for him to let go. His eyes were red-rimmed, his tone sincere and earnest. Ginger, I'll change, okay? I'll change everything. Come back to me, let's be like we were before. If you're unhappy, just hit me to vent your anger. Lucy and I being together, that was just something I said in anger. I've really missed you these past few days. I've missed you so much. Under his pleading gaze, I was cold and ruthless, saying, word by word, but Xavier, I don't love you anymore. Xavier froze, his eyes full of shock and disbelief. Perhaps the impact of those words was too much for him. Even after I got into the car, he remained motionless. The sky appropriately opened up with a downpour, the roof echoing with the heavy drumming of the rain. As the car drove away, through the rain, that familiar figure still stood there. The headlights stretched his lonely shadow infinitely long until it disappeared. "Girl, is that your boyfriend?" The driver, the same kind woman who had given me water on the train before, asked me. I was slightly stunned, realizing it was her. I smiled and corrected her, "Ex-boyfriend." She asked again, "Did he find another woman?" I thought for a moment, at least while we were together, he hadn't cheated. Seeing me shake my head, the driver sighed slightly. "I've been with my husband since I was 18, and I even had 2 kids for him. We've been married for over a decade, and he's been good to me, he gives me his paycheck." As the driver spoke of these things, her eyes flashed with a hint of light. Just as I was about to offer my congratulations, the driver added, "But he's secretly been keeping another woman." Seeing me pause, the driver sighed helplessly. "When I was younger, I would have made a fuss, but now the kids are older, so I'll just make do. Men are all the same, as long as they're not chasing after women, things are okay." The driver advised me, seemingly calm and collected, free and unrestrained. But all I saw was a middle-aged woman who had sacrificed for her family, offering herself helpless consolation. Isn't loyalty to one's partner the most basic requirement? When did that become a desirable quality in a potential partner? A malignant tumor that could turn any time if it can't be detected and cut out in time, before it spreads throughout the body and back. Ohms incurable, even if you can't escape unscathed, you should do everything you can to get rid of it. My words seemed to slightly startle the driver. Love shouldn't be about boundless, undignified tolerance and resignation. Love is about supporting each other, moving forward in sync, and flourishing together. Xavier didn't return to City A. Instead, he frequently appeared wherever I went. Either on the way to my classes, or near my home. He wore the clothes I had bought him and greeted me. I ignored him, and he just smiled. He wanted to put on a show of trying to win me back. I bet his patience wouldn't last more than a month. But he assured me with confidence, "Just you wait, I'll prove my determination." This scenario seemed a little familiar. I didn't think too much about it. Later, I learned from my mom that he had bought the house diagonally across from ours, planning to stay for a long time. My mom knew about this because our dishwasher had broken down, and she was about to call someone to fix it when Xavier suddenly appeared and took on the job. Not just the dishwasher, changing light bulbs and refinishing the furniture, I had him do it all, my mom said proudly. "Mom, I'm no longer involved with him." I was afraid that my mom still had hope for us to get back together. My mom pursed her lips. "So what? It's his fault for mistreating my daughter." Thanks to Xavier, my mom wasn't arranging blind dates for me anymore. Every day, she found new ways to torment Xavier, whether it was throwing rotten eggs or trash at his door. My mom's intention was to drive Xavier away, but Xavier persisted day after day. One day, I couldn't stand it anymore and asked Xavier to meet me. Xavier dressed to the nines, in a suit and tie, holding a large bouquet of red roses. He showed up at the barbecue stall where I had agreed to meet him. Me? The people slurping skewers cast strange glances at Xavier. Xavier ignored them, his eyes filled with barely suppressed joy as he walked towards me. "Ginger, you've finally agreed to see me." I sighed. "Is this fun for you? What are you doing?" A flicker of disappointment crossed Xavier's face, but he still forced a smile. "Ginger, this time, let me run towards you without hesitation." I lost my patience and smashed the flowers he had forced on me in his face. A few streaks of blood appeared on his handsome face as a result. Xavier didn't seem to care, but his smile was more like a cry. Humble, ingratiating, devoid of any dignity. "Xavier, listen carefully. Ginger, don't love you anymore." Tears welled up in Xavier's eyes, and he gripped my shoulders tightly. He shook his head excitedly, lying to himself. "You're lying." I looked at him coldly, my words sharp as knives. "I even hate you." Before I could finish, Xavier kissed me, stopping me from speaking. His hands held me captive, and I couldn't move. He expertly pried open my lips, closing his eyes in a daze. I bared my teeth and bit down hard, the faint taste of blood quickly spreading through my mouth. Xavier didn't budge, until that dazed driver passed by. She grabbed a security fork and rushed over, pinning Xavier to the ground. Finally, she spat. Ugh, you scumbag. Xavier was detained for 15 days for indecent assault. When he came out of the police station, the driver held my hand, smiling broadly. Girl, thank you for waking me up. I divorced my husband, I should live for myself for once. We smiled at each other in the darkness, celebrating for each other. Xavier's parents, upon hearing the news, traveled all the way from City A. I originally thought they were here for Xavier's sake, until I saw them show up at my door with bags and bags. Besides the gifts for my parents, the rest was their luggage. Xavier's mom took my hand, smiling brightly. Ginger, your uncle and I haven't been abroad yet. After retiring, all we do is walk around, it gets boring. Xavier's mom glanced at Xavier's dad and whispered in my ear, I wonder if there are any handsome old men overseas? So, they came for me. I took the 4 of them abroad. I went to study, and they went to play. The 4 of them made up a mahjong table. That day, I took them to a seaside restaurant for dinner. When I went to the restroom, I heard Xavier's mom talking to someone on the phone. I didn't have the habit of eavesdropping and was about to leave when I heard Xavier's mom impatiently yelling into the phone, I know, will you stop? I'll help you keep an eye on a good wife, you just stay put in jail. I quietly left. After dinner, just as we were leaving the restaurant, Xavier's mom grabbed my hand and shouted excitedly, Honey, look at that! Look at that! I followed her gaze and saw a handsome blonde with blue eyes. He's hot. He looks like a young Leonardo. I want him as my son-in-law. Ah. Xavier's extra from the moment I was born, I was showered with endless love. Besides being good-looking, I also had a wealthy father. My mom was a beautiful saleswoman, I inherited my good looks from her. There were rumors that my mom didn't marry my dad for love, but for financial gain. At first, I would argue, but later I accepted this truth. Everyone around me, from my classmates to my teachers and even school leaders, were extremely caring and friendly to me. After gaining my trust, they showed their true colors. They just wanted to use me to get to my dad, to achieve some selfish goal. My world began to crumble. Friendship was fake. Family was fake. Love was fake. Everything was fake. I became extremely rebellious. After kicking down the principal's office door for the umpteenth time, my parents sent me to a small county town far from City A to attend high school. Here, no one knew my identity. The teachers and classmates treated me indifferently. Except for some girls who were infatuated with my face, no one cared about me. Many of them were focused on their own things. They had dreams and looked forward to the future. They believed that as long as they worked hard, they could achieve anything. I scoffed at their terrifying naivety. As long as you were willing to debase yourself to please a little kid, it was better than anything else. My desk mate was a dark-skinned, bespectacled boy who often lamented, I really envy you, Xavier. I was playing a video game, raising my eyebrows in confusion. Someone who looks ordinary like me has to be in the top few in the grade to attract girls like you do. Me? Look at you, your grades are at the bottom, but you look like that Korean celebrity. What's his name, Chaeun-woo or something? With that face, you'll never lack girls, you'll always have endless love letters and gifts. I laughed in anger, feeling energized. I wanted to prove that besides my background, besides my looks, I had something else that made me worthy of being liked. In fact, I did well. The teachers started paying attention to me. After each mock exam, the looks they gave me were filled with hope, affirmation, and pride. The girls' eyes, besides admiring my looks, now held admiration. This was something I had earned through hard work, instead of a value attached to me due to certain advantages. I met Ginger in my second year of high school. She was fair-skinned and had 2 dimples at the corners of her mouth. She wasn't exactly beautiful, but she was pure and cute. She was like other girls who liked me, giving me water, gifts, and writing love letters. I refused a lot, but later I didn't care. There were many people who chased after me, but few who persisted. Not everyone likes being rejected. But Ginger persisted. She always had inexhaustible energy, like a little sun. She greeted me with a smile. Hello, Xavier. My name is Ginger. To the point that later, if I didn't see her for a day, I felt empty inside, and I would often be distracted in class. I frantically shook off the absurd thoughts in my mind. She was just like everyone else. She only liked my face. Don't give your heart away easily. The abyss of despair. Wasn't experiencing it once as a child enough? I decided to agree to date Ginger in my first year of college. She was wearing a dowdy yellow dress and had put on extremely bad makeup, stopping me. Her eyebrows were thick, black, and uneven, and the blush on her face was indescribable. To be honest, I was shocked. If it hadn't been for her voice, I almost wouldn't have recognized her. I teased her in disgust, but my heart was beating fast. Scared. Luckily, she was chattering away, covering up the sound of my restless heartbeat. I was also old enough to date, trying it wouldn't hurt. That's how I convinced myself. I originally thought that we wouldn't date for more than 3 months. But we ended up being together for 4 years. Being with Ginger was comfortable. She wouldn't lose her temper with me, and she wouldn't make a fuss. What I liked, she also happened to like, whether it was diet or lifestyle habits. I also got used to her initiative, her enthusiasm, her coquetry. In the year of graduation, I gave her 2 choices, whether to break up or continue. If she chose to come with me, then I would marry her. To be honest, when I asked that question, I was a little nervous inside. But I didn't have the habit of showing weakness to others. I was used to being aloof, used to being an observer, used to minding my own business. But Ginger chose the latter without hesitation. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. But I didn't expect that Ginger would leave me because of a cat. The marshmallow incident was an accident. Or maybe it was Lucy taking revenge for me rejecting her confession. But the matter had come to this: Marshmallow could only drag its sick body through the rest of its life. Giving it a painless death and completing the experiment, a win-win decision. After the incident came to light, Ginger left very resolutely. I didn't try to stop her. After agreeing to attend a drinking session with my childhood friends, they were all shocked. In the past, I had never bothered to associate with them. I didn't like smoking, and I didn't like drinking. These activities that harmed the body and made people lose themselves were very impetuous and hypocritical. I only liked messing around with the data in the lab. Real and straightforward. But at that moment, I wanted to get drunk. Not for anything else, but to celebrate Ginger finally being unable to keep up the act. She was like everyone else, approaching me with a purpose. Fortunately, I had never given my heart away. Xavier, do you know what you look like right now? My childhood friend teased. What? I slowly blew a perfect smoke ring into the air. Broken. Or self-deception after being completely broken. You've fallen in love with her. I frowned, denying his meaning. How is that possible? I couldn't be happier. This kind of woman is full of lies, saying one thing after another to deceive people. After deceiving someone, she doesn't cherish them anymore. Coming and going as she pleases. What does she take me for? I slammed the wine glass in my hand hard, my words filled with unwillingness. The childhood nightmare came again. A voice had been screaming in my heart, poor thing, she doesn't love you at all. See, you're not as important as a cat in her heart. You lost again, your heart was deceived again. What gave her the right to leave so simply? Was I not as important as a cat? I kept testing her, until she admitted with her own mouth that she loved me. She loved me, and she loved herself. These 2 things didn't conflict. I tore off all the disguises, let down my guard, joyfully expressing my love. As long as she came back, I would do anything. But she said, "But I don't love you anymore." Cruel and merciless. In that heavy rain, I was soaked from head to toe. I had a fever. In my sleep, I hoarsely called Ginger's name. But no one would come running nervously, kissing my forehead. I made her feel wronged. Her love for me had been exhausted. She no longer loved me. Recognizing this fact, those details that I had deliberately ignored in the past turned into sharp swords, stabbing me, causing unbearable pain. collapse, and despair. My mom cursed me for being hypocritical and arrogant, taking other people's unconditional devotion for granted. This was what I deserved. I deserved it. For the first time, I didn't refute her words. I asked her, "Do you and Dad love each other?" My mom was stunned for a moment, her eyebrows gradually softening, lost in the past. She recalled the bits and pieces of her life. Her restless life. Whether it was opening a store or investing, she was enthusiastic, even though she had never succeeded once. But she always maintained her enthusiasm, because she knew that as long as she looked back, her husband's eyes would always be sincere and unwavering. In their free time, they would talk about their ideals and recall the past, including the path for me, her rebellious son. Life was long, being far from the superficial world of fame and fortune wasn't necessarily a bad thing. When the storm was coming, my mom would worry about her husband's injured knee, giving him a hot compress, massaging his joints, relieving the pain. Not mentioning love at all. Love, besides taking, was also about giving. Love was about responding to everything, being visible and tangible. I tried to walk the path Ginger had taken, only to realize the bitterness and grievance along the way. After submitting my resignation, Lucy's expression was complicated. She was happy that no one was competing with her for the year-end promotion. But the lab had recruited several new and talented female students. Before leaving, I accidentally ran into Lucy and the director embracing and kissing passionately. If I remembered correctly, the director seemed to have a wife and children. But all of this had nothing to do with me anymore. I looked up at the blue sky. My dear Ginger, this time, let me run Tawa. RDSU without hesitation.